Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. We are going over the DraftKings main slate, nice 5-game slate. A little change of pace from yesterday's 14-gamer. So if that one didn't work out too well for you, we have one a little bit more digestible, although at the same time, maybe not, because there's a ton of injury news to comb through. And with All-Star Weekend right upon us here, a lot of veterans are sitting, especially since most of the league played yesterday. And it's just going to be a little bit of a murky situation. So we'll walk you through it, going over the top plays at each position and hopefully point you in the right direction. If anything we do here helps you out, please give this video a like and also subscribe to the channel so you can get alerted to more videos just like this. We cover NBA, MLB, and NFL win and season, and also try to hit other things. Might do some UFL action this year as well. If you want some other advice, maybe some FanDuel core plays, we do offer that on our Patreon. Go check out our Patreon for all the other things we do offer. And you can come over and join us in Discord for free. Come and hang out, talk shop, and get our updated core plays for DraftKings, which are currently free, leading into lock. All right, Taylor, let's get into it. Up top, James Harden for now is not questionable or out. He is available, leads the way with a 50-point fantasy projection. As things stand, it looks like he'll probably mega chalk because he projects really well. He's facing the Jazz, and he's one of the few studs left standing. So I'm assuming you have interest at 9.2K.
You assume correctly. They're playing Utah, who is going to sit a bunch of guys because they're tanking, and they played last night with their full squad. So we can expect Collins and Markkanen and Kessler, probably Clarkson to sit out. So not a very good defensive team, a skeleton crew of the Jazz. So Harden looks great without Kawhi. If he's in, I'm not concerned about the minutes at all. He's going to be the offense for them along with Norm Powell. So great play. We're kind of losing studs by the minute. Kyrie might sit and stuff, which could open up more value on the Dallas side of things. I think Dallas already has value at other spots to begin with.
Right.
Given their other injuries, they have no front court players left. So we'll see from Dallas. But as of now, Harden and Edwards look like the priority spends. I have a lean toward Harden right now, though.
I firmly agreed. So the thing is, Edwards is also questionable. So in the case of Edwards being, by the way, facing OKC, it's not like he's in some smash spot. If Edwards is out, and maybe even if he isn't, given the fact that all this value is opening up, what's your interest level in SGA? He is 11K. He does not project as well as Harden. So technically speaking, it feels like it's getting a little bit too cute to play SGA over Harden, but might that be a good tournament strategy at this point? Or do you think he's going to be like really owned given all the value?
I don't think he'll be I expect Harden and Edwards, if he's in, maybe to be more popular than SGA. It's just SGA is expensive. He's 11K. They're reincorporating Chet Holmgren tonight after he sat out last night. So essentially a full strength in terms of studs Thunder team against a Minnesota team who's pretty good defensively. Like, you can always play SGA. It's a small slate. There aren't that many spends, but I just think Harden's a better way to allocate your salary as of now.
100%. Like you said, Kyrie's also questionable. If Kyrie and Ant are in, where's your lean there?
Still Ant. I'm not a huge Kyrie fan on this slate. Like, the Heat aren't a great matchup. The Mavs have a low total. I'm assuming he's going to sit. Like, it seems like Kyrie doesn't really play the second half of back-to-backs all that often these days. So since he got the midday downgrade to questionable on the second half of the back-to-back, I'm just going to play as if he's out for now.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here. If we're spending all the way up, Harden looks like the play right now. Don't mind Edwards. Kyrie's probably not going to play. There is Amen Thompson at 8.6. He looks pretty good here too. Nothing wrong with him. I don't see him sitting. Curry and the Warriors vets may end up taking a break after playing last night. I guess he's okay if they're in, but I would imagine they just don't play, and I prefer Harden at a similar price point. Then we start going down to guys who are looking like supreme values at this point. CJ McCollum with no Zion. We have Malik Monk, and then we have Tyler Hero with possibly no Bam, who's also questionable. So what do you think about those guys?
Yeah, I'm not really getting to that tier. If I'm getting anyone as of now, it's CJ. Without Zion, without Ingram, of course, who was traded. And without, it's really windy, blowing stuff around my desk, so I'm a little distracted. And without DeJounte. So I think CJ looks good. We'll see about Hero. Like, if Bam is out, he's going to look a bit better. The matchup against Dallas with no rim protection is a good one, of course. So Hero might get a boost later. The other one you said is Amen Thompson. He's kind of a secondary play. he's always viable, but the matchup's not amazing. They're on a back-to-back and all that. I think every team's on a back-to-back, but still worth noting.
Yeah. Amen's price 8.6 feels a little bit steep too. I think in that pack, like I'm not super interested in Monk. The matchup with the Pels is really good. It's best game environment of the slate. So there is that. But I think Hero looks better. I think McCollum looks the best out of all those guys I mentioned. I would take him over Curry, Amen, Monk, and Hero right now. Of course, there's a different Pel that I prefer a little bit more, but we'll get to that. But McCollum right now, provided he doesn't, sit out, he looks awesome. I don't have a problem getting to him whatsoever. Probably right now, McCollum is my second favorite point guard after Harden on the slate. Although it's tough to bypass Keontae George with all the Jazz guys possibly sitting out, like you alluded to. Keontae George at 6.3K projects extremely well. Isaiah Collier, not that far behind him, only $100 cheaper. But, I mean, I'm going to trust the talent of Keontae, and he kind of just has this do-it-all nature in general. Was closing in on a triple-double yesterday. That's kind of what he could do. So I love him. And then, of course, Jose Alvarado. He's going to start again. When we used him a few days ago, he was ass against OKC. Then he had a good matchup against the Kings, and he crushed. Same matchup again. So I don't really see a reason to go away from Alvarado. Obviously, it's always possible a guy in a good spot could fail, but he's 5K, monster usage without Zion, and the Kings are not a scary matchup. So what do you think about Keontae and Alvarado here?
Yeah, I have them both. I'm on core play duty. So both are listed as core plays as of now. Like Keontae, much better fantasy player than real life player, but that's all we care about. Real life or fantasy, not real life. So 6,300, good matchup. Well, not a good matchup, but a good spot given all the usage he'll get without Sexton and presumably the rest of the Jazz regulars. So good price. The role should be safe. Love him today. Collier, I think I strongly prefer Keontae given they're essentially the same price, but Collier's perfectly fine. The minutes for him have been quite up there. He's come around a lot since they've started giving him minutes. So pretty good play as well. Jose Alvarado looks great, 5K, hoping for the best. The matchup is a good one, like we said. He saw it last night. Not expecting 40 or whatever he did, but you don't need it for 5K. And a couple other values I like. Bruce Brown played 26 minutes in his first game for New Orleans last night. Didn't do much with him, but no Zion tonight. Opens up usage for the rest of this team. Good matchup against Sacramento. And he's point guard, small forward on DK, so that's useful. And then Chris Dunn. They kind of thinned out their wing glut at the deadline, moving Mann and Bones and Kevin Porter Jr. So Chris Dunn's minutes have been up again since the deadline. Still only playing around 20, but he's 3,700. Utah, like we said, good matchup, shorthanded team, revenge game. Don't mind that as a punt on this slate.
Is that true or revenge? Okay, yeah, Dunn. The minute limit is not super exciting, but the Clippers are going to be without Kawhi, so it's okay at 3.7. I don't know if we need to really do that dive because, like I said, I'm not really into SGA. I don't really think like you have to pair two studs together. I think we can go pretty balanced on this slate and get away from somebody like Dunn. But 3.7K, he has a role. It's the Jazz, 100%. He is in play. One other guy we could mention here, Rob Dillingham at 4.4K, Mike Conley and Ant are both questionable. If they're both out, I know it sucks against the Thunder here, but Dillingham is a very good explosive scorer. He is a talented young player. If he gets a massive role here and ends up getting the start, even at 4.4 against OKC, I do actually have a little bit of interest. How about you?
Yeah, if he starts out, I have interest, but I don't think he'd be a priority. Like the matchup is literally the worst it can be. And even in his starting job, like he had to start a couple weeks ago, or maybe last weekend, was not great. I don't think they really trust him. Like they want to start Nah. So if it's just Conley out, it's going to be Alexander Walker with Dillingham off the bench. I'd really only consider it if it's both Conley and Edwards out. I just assume Edwards is going to play. Like he tends to play through Q tags, so I'm assuming he'll be good to go.
Right.
Dillingham's fine, but I'm not really excited about it.
Yeah, one thing I will say, Keontae George does look great, but that ownership at 35% and with some of these other bodies being taken off the slate, that could be inflated. How do you feel about a really chalky Keontae on this slate?
Totally fine. Like he projects as one of the best plays on the slate, point per dollar wise. So I don't really care about the ownership. Like you have to eat some ownership in NBA, so I don't mind it.
Yep. Very true. So this might be a situation where we just eat the good chalk. All right, over at shooting guard, Anthony Edwards, if he's in, projects as the best play. Right behind him, though, is my boy, Trey Murphy. Loved him yesterday. It did not work out. It was Zion season. Instead, Zion went nuts for 58 fantasy points. Trey Murphy did not go nuts, but the Kings are not good at stopping three-point shooters, and there is no Zion. Tons of extra usage coming Trey Murphy's way, so I love him here. Monk, Norm Powell, CJ McCollum. We talked about Monk and CJ already. Norm Powell looks really good with no Kawhi. We know he gets a usage bump as well, and he's facing the Jazz. So I think if we're looking just at shooting guard, Edwards is totally in play. You can play him. I just don't see the need to play him there. Murphy and Powell look awesome here. I like them both quite a bit.
Yeah, I much prefer Murphy, even with the $800 price difference between the two. I just think he's an awesome play. He projected for 55 when I did my projections this morning. I think that might be aggressive, but he has a minutes projection over 41.
I love him.
So that could be part of it. Like he projects worse in other places, and I'm still getting a lot of him when I run lineups. So don't really care. Guard forward, A2 against the Kings. Sign me up for that. Jalen Green, like it's always the same thing with Jalen Green. The usage is usually there. The shooting efficiency is the question mark. If he gets hot, obviously he's capable of winning you a slate. So if he's going to be low owned-ish against Golden State, I don't mind that. Edwards, Norm Powell, like Powell should be good. I just much prefer Harden if I'm paying up for one of these Clippers, or Zubats, I think is also awesome tonight. So Powell's third for me among their kind of high usage plays, but still perfectly fine. He's just kind of pricey at 7.4.
I don't think he's that pricey given that there's no Kawhi. I will say, I think personally, I'm going to approach that from an ownership perspective. Like if Harden is really, really chalky, if we get like all these studs getting taken off the board and Harden is just a slam dunk play, I'll just go play Zoo and Norm and hope that it goes my way. Obviously, Harden would remain a great play, but as far as like a strategy and tournaments are concerned, I don't think that's a bad idea because they both still project very well, and they also get to face the Jazz, which is nice for them. I'm with you on the Jalen Green call. Obviously, super scoring dependent. He's got to fill it up. Warriors, not really always the best matchup, but if they're resting their key guys, don't know if that really matters. As far as value goes, there is some stuff to consider here. We didn't really talk about him, but Podziemski at 5.7 looks pretty damn good. If Steph and Jimmy are not going to play, he should get a ton of minutes if that's the case. He is still regularly a part of the rotation, though, so I don't know. The Warriors are weird, man. I don't ever love playing them. And I will say the price point at 5.7K, even though you could certainly label him as a core play with those guys out, like there's enough other value opening up that you don't have to play Podziemski if you don't want to. But he looks good if they're out. Max Christie at 5.2 also looks really good. 39 minutes yesterday. And obviously Dallas could be without some key veterans here. So how do you feel about those guys?
Yeah, I'm really into Max Christie. The usage is up with Dallas, only 5 games, but it's at like 19%. With the Lakers, it was about 14%. He's improved his per minute rate considerably. So there's just a good chance that he's playing a different role and he's more productive with a new team with a less crowded offense. Like he was playing with LeBron and AD and Austin Reeves. Not really a lot of usage to go around for the 5th option there. So now that he's in Dallas, presumably, potentially without Kyrie. We know it's without PJ and others and Anthony. So all good with Kyrie projected in. Get better, I assume, if Kyrie sits. And Klay Thompson, I believe, also questionable. So a lot of minutes for him, I assume. I think he's a really good play at 5.2. Podziemski, I haven't seen anything about Golden State sitting guys. It seems like they might be at full strength. They've kind of tightened up the rotation, so I think he's okay, but as of now, I just prefer others in that range, Christie being one of them. I think Klay, if he plays, is fine. Don't love it, but it's okay on a back-to-back even. Kind of glossed over Zach LaVine, but 7.5 against the Pelicans with guard forward. The minutes have been really high since he came to Sacramento. The shooting hasn't been efficient, but he was aggressive last night. He got 11 trips to the free throw line. New Orleans can't protect the rim with or without Zion. So I think it's an awesome play. If he's going to be lower owned than guys like Murphy and Powell, I have a lot of interest in LaVine as a mid-range play too.
Yeah, that is interesting. He's not carrying much ownership at all for a 5-gamer. So I like that as a GPP play for sure. So the Warriors thing, yeah, there's nothing official out on them, but Kerr in an interview after the game was like really annoyed about like the scheduling and like timing of them getting there. So he was kind of alluding to the possibility that they would end up sitting they're veterans because of that. So just that's like really the only information we have right now. So we'll just see what happens with that. Obviously, Buddy Hield at 5K. If those guys are out and he is in, he would be an okay value as well. Svi is popping. Not really personally into that much. I know he's been a higher usage player.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but I don't love it personally. There's other value. Like Max Christie is like $700 more. There might be Pod there or Buddy Hield. Whitmore's 4.3K. Chris Dunn's like, I don't know. Why do I have to play Svi? I don't feel like I have to, and especially when he's chalky. That I think I'm just not going to play into that ownership personally. So
he's just been really good per minute. Like his usage is way up. He's had a role. If he starts, I feel pretty good about it. Like he's 4,500 with guard forward. I feel like that's a pretty strong value. If other people are chasing value elsewhere, then Svi's a pretty good play, assuming he's starting.
Well, I mean, that's my point. I'm not saying he's a bad play. He's 4.5K as well. I'm saying he's already owned at 27%. So I'm not into that. I'm not into the ownership. I think on a small
I'll take
slate,
the under on that for him.
Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see how it hangs. Okay, so I mentioned Whitmore. Is there anybody else besides Svi that you like for value here?
I think Juzang is an okay play. The same positional eligibility. Utah is super thin. He's been decent per minute as well this season, so you can take a flyer on him if he's going to be low owned compared to Svi.
Yeah, one other guy I'll mention would be Jaime Jaquez. He's been playing 18 plus minutes in each of the last 4 games. So he is already back into the rotation. And we do not have any Rozier and possibly no Bam. And I think somebody else for the Heat is on the injury report. Jovic is probable. There was somebody else down. Duncan Robinson is probable. Wiggins is out. So there are minutes there to be had. We'll have to see what the updated injury report is for Miami. But he's projected for 16 minutes. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting closer to 25 on the slate. So at 4K, I think he is viable for sure. Gary Payton II, one more option just in case the Warriors do end up sitting a bunch of their guys. He is pretty cheap at 3.4, already projected for 13 minutes, and he could push closer to 20. So if you want to go for supreme punts, obviously not a safe play, though. All right, over to small forward we go. Trey Murphy is a god over there. We already mentioned him, and Amen and Norm. Let's start it off with DeMar. You said you like Levine quite a bit. DeMar is actually $500 cheaper than Levine and projects better. Do you like him at all?
I just think it's easier with Levine because he has guard forward and throws in small only. So not a huge priority.
Which makes no sense, by the way. Makes no sense.
Not really, but I just think Levine might be a better play. Like DeRozan's perfectly fine. The Kings are obviously in one of the better spots on the board, so no issue with that really.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's really similar. Like Levine, Trey Murphy, and Norm Powell at the high end. There's really not anything else to pay up for besides Ben Thompson, who again looks okay. We'll see about the Heat value. You mentioned Jovic. Is he small forward or is he power forward? Might be
power forward.
Yeah, I guess Jaquez would be okay if he's in. They still have enough bodies. They have like Larson and Highsmith that they can play. So not my favorite value. Bryce Sensabaugh potentially for Utah, another piece who's going to get more minutes tonight in theory, assuming Deuces guys we talked about. He's been happy to chuck when he's out there, when he's gotten the opportunity. 4,300, both forward spots eligible. Don't mind that. Najee Marshall again with PJ Washington out, potentially more, is going to play a ton of minutes. I assume for Dallas, they're just short on front court bodies. Played 30 last night, 27 the game before that. So he's a decent value. Price came up, but if that keeps his ownership a little more limited, I'm okay with it. And I guess you can fully punt with Kessler Edwards. 33 minutes last night. He's been starting with Dallas shorthanded. Super bad per minute guy, but at 3.3 or 3.8 guard forward eligible, it's fine. Not exciting, but okay enough.
You can, but that feels chasey as balls. I don't want to do that
I much prefer Coffee. Like if I'm playing 3.8 for a shitty guy, I'd rather play Coffee, who could play 30 minutes without Kawhi, might start. They do have Bogdanovic and Ben Simmons now, so it's like they're not super, super thin, but those guys will be limited if they play. Both are injured old men. So Coffee should be good for 30-ish, and he's cheap, so it's fine.
Yeah, not the best per minute guy, but I do kind of trust him a little bit more than Kessler Edwards. Let's not forget about Moses Moody, point guard, small forward eligibility. So weird. But he looks like a viable value anyways. 4.4K. He's been in the rotation, gets pretty good minutes, honestly, even when those other guys are healthy. If Jimmy and or Curry are out, he looks pretty damn good at that price.
Yeah, right. I think Bruce Brown is my preference between the random point guard, small forward, cheap guys. I just think there are minutes for him. And we saw in Toronto, he still got something in the tank. He was pretty good per minute there. So I like that.
He's also an old on the second leg of a back-to-back set, though. Moody is not an old.
So Bruce Brown is old?
Kind of. I think like 30.
28.
He's an old.
He's ancient at 28. I think he's a good play.
No, he's a fine play. I think I prefer Moody there. I definitely prefer Moody if Steph and Jimmy are out. All right, power forward Bam is questionable, but if he's in, he obviously looks pretty good against the Mavs here, who have no bigs except for Kyler Kelly. Come on down. Bam looks good at 8.1K, but he might not play. Jimmy also is fine, but I'm not really getting to him even if he's in. Jalen Williams has been not good, and Chet is back, so it's not super psyched about him. First guy here that stands out is going to be Naz Reid. Even if Ant does play, Naz Reid has been smashing. I kind of would only want to play him if Ant is in, because I feel like if Ant is out, the Wolves would just get completely massacred by OKC, and playing Naz at that price would be meaningless. But if Ant is in, it should be a competitive game. And then Naz should benefit immensely from them focusing most of their attention on him. 7.1 for him. Projection is not through the roof here, but neither is the ownership. So power forward's a tough one. I think right now I'm kind of psyched about playing Jovic if Bam is out. But if Bam is in, I'm kind of looking at Bam and Naz, and I want to get away from Bam and not invest my money here if I can. But how do you feel about Bam? And is there anybody else up top that you're looking at?
Bam on a cute, like I would have interest in Bam normally because it's such a bad position. Like it's pretty much him or Naz, or you're punting it.
Right.
So Bam, if he's in, is okay. I am worried that he's not going to play. I think Naz is going to be the best play here no matter what. But like you said, if Edwards is out, this thing could get really ugly in a hurry. So paying top dollar for Naz in a possible blowout's not the best thing in the world. I'm probably just going to pay down here instead. Most of the guys we've talked about already, Najee Marshall, Sensabaugh, Amir Coffee, all playable here. Omax Prosper has been playing for Dallas because they have no bigs. He's been quite volatile, but again, without any bodies up there, he's going to have to play. I think Jovic is going to get a boost, like we said, with Miami potentially shorthanded. You can play Dylan Brooks. That's all I'll say about that.
You can.
Keegan Murray, usage has been down since they got Levine, but cheap. The role's pretty safe. They're playing New Orleans. Don't mind Keegan Murray, even if the ceiling's kind of elusive.
Yeah, just a minutes play and price play. He's totally fine. And he's getting the Pels. I think he's a fine play. Yeah, I'm with you.
Me too. Point, like I kind of glossed over Jimmy, but they've
fine.
Submitted their injury report, and Kuminga is the only guy on it. So as of now, they're going to be playing, and 8K for Jimmy is okay enough if the ownership's limited, which it looks like it might be. So it's fine if you get there.
I mean, like you were saying yesterday with KD, not the best matchup. So it's like I'm not super excited to play Jimmy here on the second leg of back-to-back on the road against a good defensive team. Like if Bam is out, I'm with you on the Naz thing. I'm going Naz first. If Ant is out, I don't think I want to do Naz. And then suddenly Jovic becomes the play of the slate for me at power forward. Like you said, Najee is there. You can look at some of these other guys too. But right now, if things break right, Jovic stands out quite a bit for me at 5.3K. Like he's okay right now anyways. He gets like 27 to 30 minutes, and plus they're already without Wiggins. Like he's going to get minutes. So I think he's a good play no matter what. He'll probably end up being kind of chalky if Bam ends up sitting though. All right, over to center we go. Sabonis leads away with a 50-point fantasy projection. Rightfully so. He was smashing yesterday. He had foul trouble. Something about Zion, battering him with his body routinely, probably. But yeah, he looks really good at 9.5K against the Pels, who do not have Zion, so he doesn't have to worry about foul trouble quite as much. And Misi is not a scary guy to go up against. I like him a lot. The only problem is can we really justify going up and getting him when there's all these other good plays? For $1,000 less, there's Şengün. For $2,000 less, there's Zubac. So when we factor in price and matchup and everything, I think Zoo is the play. He just looks like the best point per dollar play at center, and I'm getting to him the most. But if I, in a perfect world, rostering Sabonis against the Pels with no Zion would feel pretty damn good.
Yeah, dollar for dollar, I do think Zoo is one of the better plays on the entire slate in any position. So I'm happy to be over the field on him. I agree about Sabonis just because we're kind of lacking like true spend up options. He doesn't have like a nuclear ceiling because of his lack of defensive stat racking up ability, but good enough. Like the per minute stuff's fine. Even with Levine there, he hasn't really changed in terms of his role. So at 9.5, I'm okay with it if you land on it. Bam, if he's in, Khalil Ware, if Bam is out, I guess it's going to get a boost. I assume he's going to play a big role against the Dallas team starting, who knows, at center. So he could have a huge size advantage over anyone he plays against, essentially. So Ware could get a boost if Bam is out. If Bam is in, I'm not super into Ware at 6-1. The minutes have kind of come down a little bit, but they are shorthanded. So perhaps they come up tonight with Wiggins out. As far as value goes, you're kind of looking at Yves Missi. He's a much better play generally without Zion, just because Zion takes up so much of the usage. He's in the paint all the time. Kind of leaves Yves Missi out there to dry, but with Zion out, he's going to be in the middle more often. I think that's fine. Joe Val, ultimate tournament play as a backup to Sabonis. I think it's fine. Revenge game for Joe Val as well. And then if you want to punt, you can look at like Kyle Filipowski, Oscar Tshiebwe for the Jazz, with presumably John Collins, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen going to be out. So there's potential Jazz value, not super exciting or super appealing, but it's playable.
Yeah, Rudy's questionable, so Hartenstein could feast here if he ends up being out. Just worth mentioning. I'm not really excited to play Hartenstein.
If Rudy's out, are we doing Luka Garza season? Is that what's happening tonight?
I don't want to do that.
I do.
I would imagine Naz Reid would just slide over to the 5, wouldn't he?
I don't know, because Naz Reid has to play the 4. He's been playing like 40 minutes with Randall out. They don't have a lot of guys.
I know, but I don't want to play Garza.
Garza's good per minute. I feel like I'd be happy to play
Garza. Yeah, but it's OKC.
Starting.
They'll eat him alive.
OKC is a bad rebounding team, so there's potential for him.
It's irrelevant. They'll shut him down offensively, and he'll probably get into foul trouble. So obviously he was 3K, 3.1.
It's the Donovan Clingan thing from last night.
I know.
Freaking smashed.
I know. 55 fantasy points made me look like an asshole. Okay. So I was wrong about that. I mean, I didn't say Clingan was a bad play. I said he was a risky play because there's other value and he's facing Jokic. Obviously, that's never ideal. Anyways, if Garza starts, sure, at 3.1, you can play him. Obviously, it's a 5-game slate and he's cheap and a good permanent guy. But I hope we don't have to do that. It just feels like we walk into these situations all the time. It's like you got to play that guy, and then we do, and they fucking suck. Like that is possible that even a good per minute guy at no money can just be utter ass and doesn't get there. And if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be Garza. I can tell you that much right now. That said, though,
maybe Jordan Clarkson's out, and no one else. So it seems like they might actually play the guys tonight.
Oh,
so
look at Utah flipping the script.
Get Amir Coffee being questionable.
Oh no, slate changer right in the real time. Let me refresh my shit too, just
so like Keontae is not as appealing as we talked about earlier. If I mean, he's still going to get the guard minutes, Clarkson, but Collins and Markkanen are going to be there to take usage, which is going to kind of relegate him to more of a secondary play.
Yeah, it already wasn't like a great matchup against the Clippers anyways. Like I know we disagreed there, but I was already kind of interested in the idea of like, if Keontae was going to be super owned, I'll just be a little bit underweight and go away from this chalky guy who, by the way, he's still a young, volatile player coming off a really good game. So it makes sense that he could kind of be a little wishy-washy there. Anyways, let's wrap up center here. I don't think I have anything else to add. Anyways, the only thing was where I agree with you 100%. If Bam is in, I do not want Ware. His minutes have been super wonky. It'd be more of like a Bam hero thing. If Bam is out, I have a lot of interest in Jovic, but Ware would also pop into being very, very relevant. At 6.1K would be a little bit tough to get away from. Like you said, Mavs have nobody down low. All right, let's wrap this up with our flag plant of the night and our general strategy.
I think I'm going to flag plant Bruce Brown at point guard, small forward at
Famous last
4,400.
words.
I feel like he's a very strong
boy.
play, and I'm not sure people are going to want to play him after last night's kind of mediocre showing, but the minutes should be there. He's cheap. It's a good spot. Let's go with Bruce Brown tonight. And then I think a balance build is okay if you don't want to pay all the way up for or Sabonis. But Harden's probably what I'm going to be around overall.
Yeah, my flag plant, it's tough because like some of the stuff is really going to impact ownership. I think like I'm still going to get a lot of Harden and Zubac. Let me just start it by saying that I love Harden and Zubac. The matchup with the Jazz is great. The fact that their guys seem to be playing is very good for them. But I do think if Harden is going to be mega owned and Zoo is going to be mega owned, I like the idea a lot of targeting Norm as a leverage play on them, and also targeting at the center position, targeting Sabonis at 2,000 more than Zubac. Just instant leverage. And I mean, Zubac still, or Sabonis still has a monster ceiling, and the Pels just don't have anybody who can stop him. So I think that is an interesting tournament strategy, because right now Harden's coming in with about 24%, and Zubac is coming over 30%. Not a whole lot that really is going to change those numbers unless like one of them is out or something else crazy. In all reality, those numbers are probably only going up. So if everybody is going to play Zubac, I think Sabonis is super appealing as a tournament pay up. And also just like you can look at it a lot of different ways. Just a leverage play on Harden, even just at the 9.2 to 9.5K range, just a leverage play there too. But I think that about does it for us. For the most part, I'm with you on like the balanced strategy approach too. I think I'd want to get one stud and then try to go as balanced as I can with like safe-ish values that like, in the name of Bruce Brown, let's play guys that we actually feel good about. Like you feel good about Bruce Brown, go play Bruce Brown. But I want to play guys with roles. Christie, Pod if the Warriors are out. Fuck.
He has a role.
Well, it's not the same. It's not the same as Christie who's playing 39 freaking minutes. That's not the same, right?
I think he has a role and he's cheap and he's guard forward. I don't see why you're shitting on my flag plant, but go on.
Because you're flag planting Bruce Brown. Okay, listen, I agree he's a good play. I'm just saying, like, I think definitely Bruce Brown's getting 50 fantasy points now, so I look like the ultimate ass. Anyways, I think we get the gist of what I'm saying. Not shitting on your play. I'm saying I think it's a little volatile, so I don't know if I want to play him. All right, that does it for us.
That's the whole game. Like you flag planting a guy who's 80% owned doesn't do anyone any good. So let's have some fun then.
That's true. Yeah, let's live a little. No doubt about it. All right, hopefully this helps you out. If it does, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, come join us in Discord, and you can also visit our Patreon to see what we are selling out there. Thanks for watching and good luck.